It all began with a wolf. At least, we think so. The wolf is the forefather of many of today's dogs. In the distant past, man and wolf quickly became friends, perhaps because both lived in social organizations. It seems logical to assume that this began with wolf cubs. They were almost the first animals to get to know man and, as it were, make their way into the family. Over the years, breeding the animals proved successful in assisting man in the hunt. This collaboration gradually became closer and more productive. The wolf slowly evolved into the dog. The resemblance between wolf cubs and dog pups is considerable. The bond between man and wolf arose from collaboration. Both had a mutual concern: food. The German Shepherd perhaps reminds us most of that past. He was originally used for guarding sheep, especially because of his courage and intelligence. German Shepherds have been used everywhere. For example, as rescue dogs in avalanches or earthquakes, as messengers in the army, as bloodhounds for the police, as guide dogs for the blind, or as sniffer dogs by customs. They can do many things. Of course, this doesn't happen on its own, although their abilities are innate. Another sentinel is the Rottweiler. His most distant forefather is the Tibetan Mastiff. The ancestors of modern Rottweilers were brought to the present-day Rottweil, Germany, on Greek and Roman military campaigns. Naturally, over the course of time, the dog was bred with other dog species, but the breed remained relatively pure. Let's look at the breed. Even in the Middle Ages, the Rottweiler was used as a guard, watching over cattle, accompanying hunts, and fighting wolves and bears were just up his street. Mum and pups know nothing of their remote past, but their survival may be credited to yesteryear's cattlemen. They prized the powerful, tireless dog who protected them and their cattle. And what do we have here? These are 2-week-old German Shepherd pups. These pups are 3 weeks old. The temptation to cuddle and take home a wet-nosed young pup is strong. It's a spontaneous reflex. But when the dog grows up, one may suddenly realize that he doesn't fit in with a family. At that point, it's usually too late. A dog isn't a toy that can be taken back to the shop. It's imperative to consider carefully what the responsibilities of caring for a dog are before buying one. This means the dog is fed on time, sufficiently and properly, and that one devotes enough attention to his care. And of course, he must get plenty of exercise. These rules apply to both the German Shepherd and the Rottweiler. Think before you act. A Rottweiler will require care for about 10 years. An entire family must agree to such a responsibility, and more than one family member should be able to take care of the dog. Remember that you'll have to look at holidays from a different perspective. The Rottweiler is not only expensive to buy, it's expensive to keep as well. If none of this presents a problem for you, then your new housemate has a bright future. And then the obvious questions: should one get a male or a bitch? And should it be large or small? When they're this small, they're always lovable, but a Rottweiler will grow and grow. The German Shepherd is a purebred. Each breed has specific requirements. For example, it would be better not to take a hunting dog home to an upstairs apartment. Small apartments don't like large dogs. If you want a German Shepherd, think carefully about whether you can provide for his needs. In general, the male is more robust and more powerful than a bitch. In the wild, he wants to be leader, and this means that an adult dog may want to play master. You must be able to maintain your authority without mistreating him. The bitch is more elegantly built, more affectionate, and more obedient by nature. Generally, the bitch is on heat twice a year for about 3 weeks at a time. Obviously, this will differ for each dog. Playing and eventually fighting are natural for both male and female. A female is generally more gentle with small children, but this of course also depends on the character of the dog. And having a German Shepherd with long or short hair is merely a question of taste. Dogs are carnivores. Their teeth and intestines are appropriately designed. But that doesn't mean they can live by meat alone. In the wild, wolves, jackals and foxes also eat berries, nuts and roots. It's important that a new owner knows when the moment has arrived. The pup is 8 weeks old and will be going to a new home. The happy family departs, chaperoned by suggestions from the breeder. The festivities can begin. Nothing is too good for the new arrival. Climbing stairs should be avoided for now, so the owner has constructed a lift. Dodo will serve as guard dog at a marina, but a gentle guard dog. Good people will be allowed to pass. The bad ones will have to watch out. Fortunately, he's not scared of water. Yet just to be sure he stays that way, he's entrusted with all the secrets of the trade. This cat couldn't care less. What a fuss, and look at that tough front. All four on the floor, my friend, otherwise the claws come out. We've said it before. Besides being good guards, Rottweilers and German Shepherds also have good noses. Training and rearing. Training is nothing more than putting the dog's abilities at the service of man. Speed, stamina, smell, hearing, courage and trust are merely a few. The German Shepherd has all these faculties and more. Let's see how we can use them. A prerequisite is a sound relationship between master and dog. This also means a regular trip to the vet for injections against disease. And if his behavior deviates from normal, then a proper description of this behavior is essential. The better you inform the vet, the better the diagnosis he can make. That's being a pal to your dog. The first responsibility and rearing are provided by the parents. We shouldn't interfere. Like father, like son is often the case with the German Shepherd and the Rottweiler. He started out as the St. John's dog, yet today we call him the Labrador Retriever. The Labrador Retriever logically originates from northeastern Canada. In the 19th century, fishermen brought him to Europe, and there he usually ended up in England. Labradors come in many different colours, black and gold being the most well-known. Golden Labradors appeared around 1900. The first Golden Labrador to be registered officially was the English sire Ben, who later grew to be a true Big Ben. What does this dog, of Dutch origin, have in common with a Labrador? The Drentsche Patrijshond, as he is known, and the Labrador both have a passion for hunting. Their very fibers are full of the hunting instinct. Here they show you just how good they look. The Drentsche Patrijshond is athletic with great physical power, something best seen when he picks up speed. He's an excellent dog for shooting across mixed ground. Once a shot is fired, the Drentsche Patrijshond covers the ground without wandering far away from the hunter. One of his talents is staying in close contact with his master. But at this stage, they prefer playing and stretching their legs.
Luister, als je de een ter wereld brengt, hoef je de ander niet te vermorzelen.
An important aspect of breeding is using parents with a stable and calm character. Undependable or psychotic animals should never be bred. Prior to breeding, the breeder has his animals investigated for any hereditary defects. Are the eyes and ears perfect? And what about the hips? Breeders often have their dogs judged at dog shows to verify quality. A Labrador bitch can easily have 8 pups. This is rush hour in the basket. Mum looks on with a trace of anxiety. She misses nothing. And naturally, these little ones head straight for food. It's the same with the Drentsche Patrijshond. First come, first served. The best age for mating a sire is 2 years. With a bitch, it's best to wait until she's been on heat 3 or 4 times. Normally, a bitch is on heat about every 6 months. A sire, on the other hand, feels the sexual urge anytime.
Ondanks nagels knippen, dat komt er gewoon niet aan.
It's important to evaluate carefully when purchasing a Labrador pup. He's a friendly dog who enjoys being with people. He loves children and is happy to serve his master. A Labrador, like any hunting dog, needs abundant exercise. He's fond of water and won't hesitate to dive in. He's most content being with people and has an intense dislike of kennels. All such points should be considered when choosing a Labrador. If one's prepared to invest the right amount of time, then the choice is easy. At the feeder, oblivious to everything, as usual. Eat first and then rest. That's how one grows. The stages between pup and adult pass quickly for a dog. His lifespan depends on the environment in which he lives. Other important factors are his diet, health, and the species itself. A Drentsche Patrijshond can easily live beyond 12 years. especially if you start him off in the right way and give him enough attention. And there's no shortage of that here. Today is the Labrador Run for Fun Day. A party, you might say so. On this sunny day, the alumni celebrate a litter reunion. The notably proud dogs are accompanied to the meeting place by their even prouder owners. Now, let's see what he's made of. They go through the entire program. If a dog is good, then he gets into the photo. It's now time to decide what to do with the dog. Should he be shown at exhibitions or trained for shooting? But we've actually skipped a step. Before going to a litter reunion, a dog must learn all the basics as a pup. Special training in behavior and obedience ensure that the future Labrador adults have perfect manners. By this, we mean behavior proper to a dog. Human behavior is not taught, just further training and development, that which a dog would normally pick up at home. If he's especially good, then he's a chance of being selected for training as a guide dog for the blind. Important lessons are taught step by step, such as crossing the street and avoiding obstacles. Training a guide dog takes more than a year, a true job for a specialist, both dog and trainer. There are numerous opportunities for a Labrador, ranging from a gun dog to a guide dog, and everything in between, even the post. The Drencher Patrijshond has an exceptional capability to adapt that make him suitable for hunting all sorts of game on land and in water. He's also a good tracker and smartly returns track quarry to his master. Even though shooting's a thing of the past in most countries, the Drencher Patrijshond shouldn't be robbed of the chance to develop his innate talents. He should have something to chase. Beautifully ugly. That's the Boxer's lot. The Boxer was first bred in the middle of the 18th century in Germany. He's a cross between a Mastiff and a Bulldog. The Mastiff was used for hunting bear, and the Bulldog for bullfighting. Never handle the young without gloves is a good rule of thumb. But no worry, breeders have worked on the dog's character. Conditioning the dog into a good-natured, dependable animal proved successful. Careful with children, and always in the mood for a romp. In addition to their excellent traits as house pets, Boxers are also excellent guard and defense dogs. And if that weren't enough, they're also often used as guide dogs for the blind. With his friendly nature, the Boxer is treasured as a go-getter with a passion for living. This, in fact, is a distant relative, yet he was around somewhat earlier than the Boxer. This Apollo of canines was first depicted on a Greek coin. The resemblance was enormous 2,000 years ago. It was thus assumed that the dog originated in Greece. The real origins appeared centuries later. Asians invaded Europe. They arrived with big Mastiff dogs who could beat bears in a fight. Breeding them with the Irish Greyhound resulted in the lean, thin dogs known as Allans. The English call them Great Danes, even though they've nothing to do with Denmark. These dogs have some comical traits. Their appearance pleases some, yet for others they're somewhat menacing. Some boxer lovers make the most of taking their dogs to exhibitions. If it's the first time, judging can be difficult to follow. But things really become exciting once all the dogs have been judged. Who'll make it to the final round? He'd prefer to stay with his family. The tension mounts, awaiting the announcement of the winners after the final judging. It's important for breeders and future dog owners that the new quadruped comes from a good home. In the meantime, let's get ready. The Great Dane comes in different colors. For example, black and white, nicknamed Harlequin, black, yellow, or with yellow streaks, and blue. The color variants in a single litter depend on the parents. The pups enter the world at regular intervals, varying from a few minutes to an hour. They're blind and deaf in their first few weeks, but their keen noses quickly lead them to their mother. Development of their senses begins. For now, sitting and lying are easier than standing. The first contacts with the outside world are made. They love exploring. From the first month until Mum retires after 8 weeks, the pups acquire experiences that will be significant for the rest of their lives. The time between deciding to buy a dog and his arrival is exciting. Plans are made. There's so much to do for the future housemate. The days go by far too slowly. During this period, it's wise to decide what the dog can and cannot do. There'll be problems if one prohibits something while another permits it. The pup won't know what's expected. Boxers have a congenial and dependable character. They're marvelous house pets, especially friendly towards children. Of course, a dog isn't a child's toy. He'll tolerate only so much, for he too has his limits. The boxer is also fond of older children. He's always in the mood for some horseplay. It's also wise if dog owners take their own physical condition seriously, because a boxer doesn't know when to quit. A boxer learns effortlessly, and you'll really see results if you make use of his natural qualities. Peace and quiet in the litter, but not for long. After an afternoon nap, it's feeding time. Mum tends to this for the first 4 weeks. Afterwards, it's up to the master. A boxer, like any dog, must have a balanced meal. This can be a ready-to-feed or specially composed meal. Yet most importantly, the ingredients must have the proper composition and quantity. The breeder, or the veterinarian, is the best authority for the proper makeup of a dog's diet. These are the experts. Believe it or not, these pups are only 7 weeks old. Contact with the dog and his rearing demand attention from the beginning. Each dog learns to be obedient, is house-trained, faithful and affectionate. If this isn't the case, the fault usually lies with the master. Pups should always be approached with consistency and patience. It's the parent who lays the foundation and teaches the pup his first lessons. But after a while, the master must take over. He must be careful not to show anger to the animal if the dog has a different idea than he does. If he doesn't come when called, it shouldn't be attributed to bad behavior. These are human qualities. A dog is just a dog, not a person. A dog does and acts on the spur of the moment, deals with what is at hand, and forgets it just as quickly. Healthy boxers never have to be called to dinner. The clinking of food dishes is enough to get the pups going. Sometimes you'd swear they could tell the time. Occasionally, they need a helping hand. Notice if he doesn't eat or stays in his basket when offered a walk. Perhaps it's just a cold or muscle pain, or maybe he's teething. At any rate, the origin of a mood should be discovered as quickly as possible. If it's still not clear, then the next step is to call the veterinarian. The Boxer and the Great Dane are always great fun. They have a proud, aristocratic demeanor, and their loyalty is unquestioned. What else can we say?